Hey YouTube, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be looking at Rw9's 1v1s from the recent tournament, Gamers 8. Now, if you guys maybe weren't aware, it's not as big as RLCS, but a tournament called Gamers 8 just happened this previous weekend in Saudi Arabia, in which crew battles were played, 3v3, 2v2, and 1v1. And that means that Rw9 is going to be playing some 1v1s with Rw9. So this is the first match that Rw9 played against Team Secret, where he had to 1v1 Kv1. So today's video is going to be just going over all of the different 1v1s that Rw9 played, with the exception of one, because I'm actually going to do another video on his opponent in that final match. But for now, we have 4 1v1s. Kv1 versus Rw9. We have Zen versus Rw9, Daniel versus Rw9, and I believe M0nkey versus Rw9. So a lot of different matchups to watch. And it's important to keep in mind when you're watching these games that these happened on LAN. So the ping for Rw9 is finally low. You see 4 to 8 ping. Sometimes you can even see 0 ping. But these guys sitting across from each other. But not only is it important to know that Rw9 is finally playing on equal ping to his opponents, it's also important to know because the context of the games. Basically best of ones that most of these were played against, and in an extremely high pressure environment. Nice reset 50 there from Rw9 to get himself a 3rd goal. A lot of players were not ready to rise to the occasion, whether it was because it is such an intense tournament with, you know, a lot of prize money in the line, or because it's best of one, or because it's LAN. But the guy who everyone has considered as the best in the world, you'll see, he lived up to the hype. Now, a minute and 18 seconds, 16 seconds in, and Kv1 is doing just fine against Rw9. Now, Kv1 is no chump himself. He's certainly a high-level 1v1er who has competed with the best in the past. I would say at some points he was even maybe top 5 in the world. I don't think he's grinded it as much recently. I don't think you could argue for that anymore. But it doesn't mean that he's fallen off completely. You know, he's still a formidable opponent, and he's proved so far against Rw9. Rw9 able to escape his bump here, though, and it's going to force Kv1 all the way into the back corner. Maybe a potential mistouch there for Rw9, but he has the kind of time to deal with it. And Kv1, known for diving and challenging as much as possible, leads to Rw9 flicking early as he sees Kv1 chasing down the ball, but it actually was a fake challenge this time. Despite the decent defensive efforts from Kv1, he has not been able to stop Rw9 from maintaining possession, and this time it's going to be a faked flick into the 50 on the near post, threatening that whole way, forcing Kv1 to respect that shot. And now a kickoff loss for Kv1, or sorry, kickoff loss for Rw9. This is definitely a Kv1 possession, but maybe a bit of LAN jitters there as he does not convert on his flick. Rw9, very interesting defensive maneuver as Kv1 goes to the ceiling. There's no question that it caused Kv1 to think twice about his shot. Missed wave dash will be another goal for Kv1. So, or sorry, for Rw9 to keep getting them split up. But as time goes on, Rw9 showing why he's favored in this matchup. He is going to win a direct kickoff. One thing that we saw Rw9 doing a lot is sticking to standard kickoffs. Something that maybe we'll see him mix up a bit more. But he wasn't using too many fakes, wasn't using too many wave dash kickoffs. He just relied on his standard kickoff, which interestingly, that's just a great shot. We will find that angle and keep it away from Kv1. But interestingly, he's going up against the king of that method. Kv1 was the guy who dominated, and Kv1's going to make me look smart, thank you. He's the guy who dominated standard kickoffs, and you know, one of the reasons why people felt like they needed to start looking for other options, because otherwise you get yourself beat over and over by his standard. But 2 kickoff goals back and forth now. Rw9 8-3. 8-3 with 2 minutes left to go. You're not going to see any forfeits in these crew battle games, whether because they're on LAN. I don't know if forfeits were not allowed, but everybody playing out to the final moments, despite what the scoreline says. Rw9 kind of handed that one over. And Kv1, talking about forfeits, but right now, Kv1 is certainly still within striking distance if he can stop the bleeding. Even though he loses this kickoff into the orange half, has himself some boost. Rw9, just that single jump touch in order to try and delay Kv1's offense, give himself a slight moment to get midfield. And doing so has done enough to throw Kv1 off of his momentum, off of his, rhythm. And the shot is much easier this time. Kv1 starting to dive a little bit. Does not take much from Rw9 to chip this ball off the wall and make it 9-4. Minute 18 left to go. You're going to see Rw9 right back to the standard. He's matched Kv1's well. His air dribble, while seemingly mechanically difficult, doesn't have what's necessary to score in the ones game nowadays. Just some kind of surprise movement on the goal line. Make that defender make a decision and miss. That's not what Kv1 did. Rw9 trying to be as patient as possible. He's forced to make a spectacular save. And then I believe Kv1 own goals here. So just a ridiculous play from Rw9. It comes off the back of trying to get as much as possible from every play. Instead of looking to just save the ball, he wanted to earn a possession, which resulted in that incredibly dangerous chip into the post. But of course, he made it work. And now Kv1, there's no way he's winning when he misses his open opportunities like that. Rw9 will make it even more. I think in a show match situation like this, 11-4, I think we see a Kv1 forfeit, or we even see, and this is something that Rw9 didn't do, is we see players stop going so hard. 33 seconds, Rw9 won this game. A lot of times they'll just waste out the time, but whether it's because it's only a single game or just the necessity of being fully locked in at all moments, Rw9 does not back down. He continues to try and put on as many goals as possible, and he's got himself a massive 8-goal lead already. Demo on Kv1. Opportunity to put on a stylish one. Something we haven't seen too much of yet, but it does just result in Kv1 doing the biggest zap dash I've ever seen. Debatably faster when you take that long. The reset shot is saved, and Rw9, of course, to really put the point home that he's going to get as many goals as possible, catches the ball and flicks it for a 13th when it doesn't matter. So 13-4. 13-4 in the first game that Rw9 played in 1v1, and just wait till you see the second. Second match that Rw9 played. This is Game 4 against Rw9. Winner of this match goes to the playoffs. Loser is going to have a second chance at getting there. Now, Rw9 won Game 1 in the 3v3 against Rw9. Rw9 understandably picked 2v2, not just because they're up against maybe the greatest 1v1er in the game, but Daniel in Beast Mode proved to be a unbeatable 2v2 team. So we might do a review on their 2v2 games as well, since they were as good as it gets. But it's now Game 4. Game 4, it is forced to play whichever mode wasn't picked earlier, which is 1v1. So Rw9 and, of course, Rw9's 1v1 representative, Daniel, out to try and meet him. At this point, Daniel has played a couple 1v1s before this and has had a tough time against Atto. I believe he was able to get the win against Mike Boy. Oh, no, sorry, Tho. Yeah, he handled Tho with no issues in his first round, but wasn't able to beat Atto. And now this is Daniel's next 1v1 game against Rw9. And it's not really going as easy as he maybe would have liked. Rw9 up 3-0 already. Such a ambitious defensive effort there from Rw9, falling all the way from the ceiling, but he does enough to stop Daniel's attack. This time, the bounce dribble is sent into the corner, and this is where Rw9 makes his money in 1v1. This defensive stand is enough to stop even one of the better attackers in the game. I think Daniel is a guy who knows how to find offense, but he could not find any. Rw9 eating it all alive, making each shot seem like it never stood a chance. And then it results in Daniel turning to dive after losing possession because he wants to put himself right back on offense. And I tell you what, the kickoffs haven't been solid for Daniel either. I think there's at least been a couple kickoffs to put Rw9 up 4-0. Now, The reality of 1v1 is these are long games. Daniel is far from out of it, but the kind of mental edge that you earn when you're a guy like Rw9 who's able to eat up the early offense from somebody else, you can get them struggling to try and find what's going to work. Daniel, this time, going to the air dribble, had a couple options there. Had Rw9 not been positioned perfectly, maybe could have turned it into a bump. Rw9 is going to launch this one over the top of the net, and Daniel actually does make it back. He took that risk going to get the 100 boost, but he actually had to use all of it to regain control of the ball, so barely feels worth it. Got that save by very slim margins, and then had nothing left to work with, and is now down 5-0, only 2 minutes in to game number 2 against, I should say, one of the guys who is certainly a top 1v1, or one of the few that actually can take Rw9 down. I think he did take Rw9 down in the last tournament they played in, which was the Rw1 Invitational, but seems to be different here now that Daniel is on the home soil of Rw9, and they're both playing on very low ping. Normally when a US East player plays against the Middle East, they have similar ping, but I don't think they're comparable connections. Just crazy save there by Rw9. It actually could have been easier, I feel like, but does clip it with the front end of his car. Rw9 seeing Daniel dive. I mean, I don't know if this is just an adjustment because of the fact that he's down 5 and feels the need to try and get something going, but Rw9 far too talented to see that telegraph challenge and let it get by, so he taps it over the top. 6-0, keeping Daniel completely scoreless. Absolutely unheard of, as Rw9 attacks through the air himself. Gets too much on the reset, but I love the use of the zap dashes from Rw9. You watch his 1v1s throughout the weekend and you see that he has a lot of landing recoveries in which he utilizes it. This was maybe a bit of a mistake on the shot, but 0 boost for Rw9. He just wants to pin Daniel back. Daniel handed the ball right back to him. Now Rw9 trying to put that level of aggression that we see Daniel doing. That isn't working. The difference is that he recognizes Daniel's not in control of the ball, has a time to actually interfere with the play. This time was expecting maybe another Daniel dive, tries to boom over the top of it, and credit to Daniel, he does stay in control, but with no boost left, he's not able to get much of an attack, and now electing to attack the ball early in the air costs him his boost and costs him the possession as he has to back off. I think if he had left the ball, Rw9 was going to leave possession anyways. That was a really strong flick from Rw9. And now he's just trying to pick Daniel apart. Bounce dribble doesn't work. Daniel has control. Bit of a telegraphed single jump. And Rw9 recognizes his opportunity to take the ball away as he looks to land. And the defensive perfection continues. 7-0. Stacking on top of his previous 13-4 win, I believe it was. Daniel, air dribble reset. These are the kind of positions that the regular human defender can never seem to stop Daniel in. But right now, Rw9 isn't human. 30 seconds left to go, 28 technically. And he has still kept Daniel in one of the biggest 1v1s played to date, completely scoreless. You can see that zap dash that Rw9 was thinking about there as he landed inside of the nets. Ultimately held off on it, I think, to be able to get a flip up earlier. Five seconds left to go. Rw9 starved out on boost. Daniel in the classic wall to air dribble. Rw9 goes to ceiling to try and defend it, and Daniel goes over the top for what you'd expect to see a ton of. So at 0 seconds, Daniel does get one on the board, and Daniel normally is farming multiple shots like this all game long. We go back and watch Rw9 because I remember I was actually at the event. I remember he was pretty disappointed that he did not bagel Daniel, that he allowed him to get at least one goal. And I think there was a way he could have intercepted that at around ceiling heights. But either way, Rw9 did what he needed to do, which is give his team a win and give his team advance to the playoffs, where they find Vitality in the first round, and Rw9 1v1 Zen. The match that everyone was looking forward to. It's Rw9 versus Zen in the elimination playoffs. No more 2 lives. Loser is done. And at this point, Vitality has not lost a tournament in months, many months, since Zen has joined. Zen has not lost a tournament this big. Now, they actually already lost. It's important to point out that Vitality was actually knocked down by Oxygen, and they qualified to the playoffs as the second seed from that group. And that's why you see Rw9 and Vitality playing so early. In theory, this could be a matchup that very well could be the grand final. But because Vitality had that early loss, we find them matched up now. And it's 1-1 as Rawas tries to go in the air for the reset. You see that very consistent zap dash he's using in order to recover out of net. You'll see that all event long. Rawas and Zen are a 1v1 that everyone was hoping to get when the event started. Maybe just seeing Rw9. This is a crazy flick. Can we go back? I mean, there's so many different things. Sorry, I'm going to go back to this. But this is just an unbelievable flick. I'll try not to do too much reversing. But he does not have control of that ball. That's not a ball that he's carrying, and then he flicks it top left, which is one thing, right? You know where the ball's going to be. He, all in one motion, catches and flicks into that top left post. It's just... It's truly, like the title says, 1v1 perfection from Rawas. Now an air dribble. Zen has done a lot better job stopping these air dribbles from Rawas, and that boost spawns not a moment too late. See the camera checks from Rawas to see if he's going to get demoed. He actually pulls too far out of the net because he's worried about those demos, and then he's not around for what is ultimately a fairly simple tap-in. So this match is chosen by Vitality, I should point out. This is game 2 in a best of 7, where Rw9 won game 1 against Vitality, and Zen's going to go to the air dribble bump, and for the first time in a while, you're going to see Rawas not be able to stop one. But for whatever reason, whether it was because they were scared of Rawas and Kaliris as a 2's team, which I honestly don't think is the case, or if they just thought they knew they were going to have to play both in best of 7, so you're going to have to play both no matter what, no matter how the series goes, and they decided maybe smarter to throw Zen at Rawas early and see if they can maybe get the win with a little bit less pressure on them. So that is the context of the matchup between Zen and Rawas, and so far, just a couple minutes in, it seems like it's working. Zen up 4-2. Sure, Rawas' shots were impressive, but Zen doing even better. And in this moment, I was actually sitting in the crowd with Sunless and Musty, and Sunless looked to Musty and said, "Why did you invent that? Why did you invent that move? It is now being used against my player in a tournament," which was an interesting dynamic. But this time Zen not able to bump Rawas. The bumping days are over, it seems, and by all means Rawas should be able to counter as a bit of an all-in play from Zen going for that bump. And now Rawas trying to crawl back with 2 minutes down. Another kickoff win off of that standard kickoff that you're going to see a ton from Rawas. Delayed shot is saved. Zen going to try and boom it out. What a perfect spawn for Rawas at the midfield, and he plays a bit of keep away. Zen thought he saw a window of time that he could jump up and take the ball, but Rawas recovering quickly back up in the air to beat Zen. You see everyone talk about Rawas and his defense. Maybe his speed goes unnoticed. Of course, his speed is necessary for the defense and really just for being a top player in general. Zen thought maybe he could surprise Rawas again with another dive, and it doesn't work. So halfway through the game, Rawas able to crawl himself back and tie up what was looking like it could be Zen's game early. These flicks are unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what to say. We can't stop and talk about all of them as they go by, but that catch to flick top shelf, you see the turn of the nose down in order to flick it with that tail end of the car to get the perfect precision shot. Now Rawas through the air. Wants to force the 50 in. You see air rolling to get wheels first on the ball. Probably hoping not only to kill the ball momentum in, but also potentially get that reset. And now Rawas, dodging the air dribble bumps like we're used to, is able to sneak underneath this one. He is just a magician more often than not. And he's crawled his way back. I believe it might be 5 straight. I want to say it was maybe 5-2 at one point for Zen. but now 7-5, and the crowd certainly behind the hometown heroes, both Rw9 Falcons and Twisted Minds. I don't think I was actually in the crowd for any of the Twisted Mind matches, but I have to assume the crowd was heavily in favor of those guys as well. Ross getting undercut. Zen hoping that that ball is going to fall just inside a top right corner or be shootable. You know, not going to fall in, but be presenting an angle of opportunity. Of course, unfortunately, it's a bit too high. But Zen still has possession. Rawas fake dive gets Zen to lose control, and you know, the advantage of that cannot be overstated as it cuts out so many angles. Being said, Zen finds a way to make a low-speed shot work. I think that ultimately he was in a really tough position because of Rawas's fake challenge, but multiple bumps in a row can always do the job, and has Zen within one with a minute left to go. Fake shot from Rawas has Zen pre-jumped. Rawas tries to follow it up. He does try and force this to the back wall, but he recognizes early that was a bit of a mistake to hold on to the boost he has left over. Otherwise, he'd be in trouble. Zen from the ceiling. Rawas, these ceiling challenges, they are so well timed and so important in putting up a solid defensive stand against these aerial attackers like Daniel, like Zen. If you do not erase the high plays early, you'll see them attack there over and over again and find a bit of a groove, but there is no getting a groove against the guy like Rawas. He is going to make you look to your second, third, fourth option, and he's going to cover that as well. Zen going for what he hopes is the safest option with that 50. Doesn't work out. Now with 10 seconds left to go, it's probably a bit too late for Zen, but he is going to get one last opportunity to score. And he goes back to air dribble bump. Rawas over the top of it, slams it down, follows up on the second save as well, and that bump from Zen isn't going to matter. So Rawas winning once again against Zen. There's never been more eyes than maybe this one best of one. I didn't know the viewership. I was there watching the games. So I wasn't on the stream, but maybe the streams was less viewed than, you know, the big 1v1 match. But either way, lots more prize on the line for this one. And Rawas on top. He had one more match that we're going to cover today in the semifinal against BDS versus M0nkey. M0nkey comes into this matchup undefeated in ones as well. Maybe something that you didn't necessarily expect, because M0nkey maybe not participating in ones tournaments as much as the other players that you see going undefeated, but a solid performance. He has beat Venom, Chronic, and Yan. So Chronic and Yan being those two big wins. I think we would have expected M0nkey to take down Venom. But actually, the M0nkey Venom matchup, I believe, is the one that has the biggest throw I've ever seen from Venom. So it might be worth going to try and find it, because M0nkey should have handed the game, or I believe at least like overtime. Can't remember if he handed overtime or if he handed the whole game, but he handed over the game to Venom, and Venom was not able to capitalize. But either way, the point is, M0nkey ultimately did win and was undefeated, and so at this LAN was looking like a player that could take Rawas down. Now, I think if Rawas and M0nkey had matched up in a different context, Rawas would come in as a heavy favorite, but considering that M0nkey has played so well, and that these are best of one LAN situations, and maybe Rawas hasn't played as much against M0nkey, so he might not have, you know, reads on the way he likes to play. This was certainly a tense match. Now, Rawas launching a midfield shot that perfectly arcs into the net. And not only is it a tense match because of all the other things I described, but now the crowd getting a bit more involved and a lot more on the line. Nice double from M0nkey. One of the things that you'll see, and I'll cover, I think, in the video I'm going to make tomorrow, is the players who had success playing like it was online 1v1. You know, playing with a bit more confidence and ultimately just taking a few more risks than other players do. And the result of that is better performance, which a lot of people have talked about LANs for 1v1 and being worried that they would be much more boring than the online versions, because everyone will play so incredibly safe that it would actually become not so entertaining. Now, I think that people understand that that's not the case after watching this tournament. If you watched it live, or even if you just watched these games here, you'll see that the people who had success certainly did not play in a boring fashion. But either way, Rwas up 3-2. It should be noted that BDS won a very close game 1 in 3v3, which means in the best of 7 that Rw9 gets to pick what match they want to take, and they took 1v1. They're one of the few teams, I think, that were willing to take on the onus of putting their ones player out. I think Feer, who won the tournament last year, also did that. They recognized that Yan at the time was playing as good as any ones player in the game, and so they would pick ones. Now, I think most teams actually shied away from ones, and this season was actually better. This season of Gamers 8 was a bit better than it was the first time around, where teams with active, amazing 1v1ers, I'm going to call it the Falcons just because I think of, you know, one example. TRK was the best in the game in 1v1 around the time of the last Gamers 8, and yet still, on a couple different occasions, I believe, picked 2v2, and really, he just needed to put himself on the field. So credit to Rw9 because they did that. They did that with Rwas. They didn't get a ton of times where they got to pick. This was actually maybe one of the only times that they got to pick, but they put Rwas out, and I think that showed that they would have put Rwas out in many other occasions. The fakes from Rwas are absolutely immaculate. M0nkey goes flying by. Just because it's land doesn't mean there's any rush. Rwas knows he can wait out for either that 50 or that miss from M0nkey. We watch from M0nkey POV the smooth save in net. Long clear. Rwas wanted to save it as late as possible. Might have actually saved it a bit too late, but maybe considering his boost totals, just wanted to pin it against the back wall so no follow-up would be quick. Now, he's just staying glued to the ground, patiently waiting for M0nkey's shot. Maybe a bit too much, as M0nkey is able to flick that top left. I think that comes off of him having low boost. I remember watching live thinking that Rwas needed to put more pressure on M0nkey, otherwise he would eventually get scored on. But the stream was probably showing it from M0nkey's perspective. I think watching it back is clear that Rwas was hoping to path over a couple boosts and maybe hold on to them for an extended defensive stand. That never got to happen because M0nkey clutched out the flick at the right time. But a half flip from Rwas to try and put himself on offense in the blue half's not going to work, and now he has to recover after getting bumped off of his backflip challenge. He's got himself possession, and he'll take the ball away to the opposite side of the field of M0nkey. I think he was expecting M0nkey to maybe fully back off, because I don't really feel like the best decision from him there is to side flip the ball out to M0nkey. But my guess is he was hoping for a really strong first touch and then something to follow up. Now that spawn there is really important because that spawn got him the save. He had been beat, and a lot of people like to copium when talking about Rwas and how if he didn't get that spawn, he might have lost this match. I mean, it's impossible to say, but certainly that spawn is as good as it gets. And if you guys remember from watching my channel from a long time ago, when US played the Middle East, they had great spawns, and it looks like the Middle East luck shows up again in a crucial 1v1 as he gets just the right spawn. And credit to Rwas for making the save quickly as well. So instead of going down 1, he's now up 1 with a minute left to go. And he has boost advantage too. M0nkey trying to stay on the ball. Rwas knows if he takes this dribble immediately, M0nkey is going to have a tough save. Although I actually would have expected Rwas to play that a bit faster. Maybe slowing down as he plays his lead. M0nkey low 50 and reverses back to the ball to tie the game. So the lead erased with 26 seconds left to go. And I think a little of that might have to do with how Rwas was playing the game, which just goes to show all the people who are coping about that spawn point. You know, whoever has the lead changes how everybody plays. There's no way you can just add a single goal. But Rwas pre-flipping back to this ball and able to get the reset to clutch out the game, or what could be the game, I should say, with 10 seconds left to go. But absolutely the guts on Rwas to go for something like that is the difference, I think, between him and the other players that he played against in this tournament. Now, of course, you guys, I slightly leaked it there. That was the final goal as Rwas backflips to tap it down. Able to beat M0nkey, not backing down from making the right decision, as if he were playing online. You love to see it. And he takes down M0nkey as well. Not that I necessarily want to see M0nkey lose, but we've watched Rwas for a long time, and us 1v1 fans like to see the GOAT rewarded, or the current best player rewarded for all of his hard work. So we're not going to cover his match in the final against Beast Mode. If you guys know, he actually played against Beast Mode, and Beast Mode had a surprise come out. But that's because tomorrow we'll go over Beast Mode and what he did so well in order to play great in this tournament. So please subscribe. Check it out tomorrow.